be about tonight is called Can You Have an Honest Discussion with White People? And this is not a show where we're bashing white people. We just want to have an honest discussion. You can't be my friend if I can't be honest with you. And that seems to be one of the biggest crux of why we can't progress as a people here, as a race, because of those in power that want to bullshit you. They only want to let you get so far, and you know that political bullcrap that we're in a post-racial America. I don't know who wrote that shit. But before we get into all that, we're going to get into some advertisements as always. We're going to start off tonight talking about King's Cubby Daycare, 773-437-5108. Open Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Accepting children 6 weeks to 12 years old, 8825 South Colfax in Chicago. We are introducing a new business. It's that photography. She does photo shoots, videos. If you're looking at the screen, her Instagram information is there. Email her inquiries. And contact number 773-329-7635. Ask for Aisha. Miss Terry, something sweet. Cakes, 708-781-5220. Cakes, cookies, catering, minimum 48 hours notice. Check her out. Rochelle Millsap, Remax agent for all your commercial needs. Give her a call, 773-716-5541. We are always trying to support all different types of black business. Like I say, if you send me your card at TheShow1965@yahoo.com, I will gladly put it in the show. I know a lot of people be worried. Maybe I'll start making an announcement. Just because we show your card doesn't mean you support our views. These are only the views of the show and me, you know. But I'm going to always push out, support black businesses. And I'm always going to say, frankly, what I say, because it's called the No PC Show. Let's get that, you know, let's stop being worrying about so many other people's feelings and worry about what's happening to us. Moving on, we got Kevin Character King. He's got the CD I Am Character, available on iTunes and CD Baby. He's got a book also called Character's Book of Poetry. He can be contacted for events such as weddings, special events, shows, 773-364-0491. I always share a little bit of his talent here for you.
I see new faces in old places. Places I grew up called home. And these faces in old places are faces not of my skin tone. Yet they come from various places, do these faces, to purchase themselves new spaces in these vacant places, which have now been renovated, upgraded, upscaled, and updated.
Reach out to that brother. He does a lot of good work. That's just a sample of what he does. I think there's some events definitely coming up for the summer. Once I get the information, I will pass that on. Also, we have Sharif, who happens to be Kevin's son. He's produced a new album. It's got a nice variety of music for, I think, people of all ages. Let me share a little bit of that with you, too.
I know you want to see me go home alone. I'm done waiting. I know you want to see me go home alone. I'm done waiting, and this hurts so bad I can't breathe on my own.
That's the album, Sharif, available on Amazon and iTunes. I've got it, and it's a great CD. So from that point, I almost forgot myself. I am the owner and operator of RPC Computing, located in Lansing, Illinois, 773-416-2955. RPC is your PC for repairs, upgrades, and consultations. Give us a call. Let us help you. Now we can get into the topic of tonight, which is, can you have an honest discussion with white folks? And again, this isn't bashing white people. I just had to think back through my mental Rolodex. And I always find if it was a true statement, I wouldn't have to think back that far, because I only can pull out a few here and there. Hey, some of my best friends are white, but can I have an honest discussion with them? Maybe on sports or something like that. But I tend to feel like when you talk about race, and I don't think we're informing them of anything that they don't already know. I think they're hoping you don't talk about it, and hoping that life can continue on because it makes them uncomfortable with what's being said, no matter how true it is. It makes them uncomfortable. Now I know me as a black man, shit, I'm uncomfortable all the time. Why can't you deal with a little uncomfortable truth? As I mentioned on the last show, I had to have one of those conversations with my boss, and I basically didn't sign a review. I'm like, I don't want to talk about all this because it's BS. And sometimes the BS level, once it gets up to here, you got to cut it off. You just got to call the bullshit. You know, whatever the cost is, that's what the cost is. One of the problems we have as black people, I feel, is we go along with too much crap, accept too much crap. We know the history, they know the history. So let's be honest. If you feel we don't deserve reparations, then I may have a problem with you. Because in America, everybody seems to be able to get something except us. Because we go back to our forefathers and say this is what happened to our forefathers. But you saw a lot of them, they were talking about, they never even think about race. And it's because of the environment that a lot of them grow up in, that race isn't a factor. It's not really talked about. Other things are being talked about, neighborhoods, community, college, job opportunities. So that conversation obviously doesn't happen this much. Then some of them said they feel like when people do talk about that, they kind of like a silent ally, like, yeah, I feel you, but I have no input on that. I can't really tell you anything. Which is maybe a lot of the younger ones, especially those that are 35 or younger. They may have a totally different outlook. Somebody made mention of white guilt. We're not trying to guilt anybody into anything. We're just trying to have a fair discussion, and we don't want to be cut off when we're talking about a certain situation, and then you want to throw, this is how you become successful in America. You go and you do exactly what we tell you. Even King realized toward the end that what they were putting down was a bunch of crap. They weren't keeping their end in the bargain. They were giving land away to people to farm, giving government grants to farm. They were creating situations after, like from, I guess, when slavery ended in 1865, and then we went into the Reconstruction era, and then this is where racism pops up at. We didn't develop racism. This was developed by white people. They were pissed off that, one, now we're free. Two, now the government expects us to share what we have with these niggas. No, we're not going to do that. So now we're going to do Jim Crow. So we get another 100 years of Jim Crow, and we get all these laws and things designed to oppress us, to keep us in place, to deny us jobs, housing, education. And these are the discussions that we want to have, but you got folks out here like Bill O'Reilly putting a little truth in something and then spreading that bullshit. I watch him for entertainment purposes only, because it's amazing. He's an expert at trying to bypass everything, to acting like there's no such thing as a white privilege thing in society. Let me show you some. I'm gonna share some of this crap with you.
Thanks for watching us. The truth about white privilege, that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Last night on The Factor, Megyn Kelly and I debated the concept of white privilege, whereby some believe that if you are Caucasian, you have inherent advantages in America. Talking Points does not believe in white privilege. However, there is no question that African Americans have a much harder time succeeding in our society than whites do. But the primary reason is not skin color, it's education, and not only book learning. Here are the facts. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate for black Americans is 11.4%. It's just over 5% for whites, 4.5% for Asians. So, do we have Asian privilege in America? Because the truth is that Asian American households earn far more money than anyone else. The median income for Asians, close to $69,000 a year. It's $57,000 for whites, $33,000 for blacks. So the question becomes, why? And the answer is found in stable homes and an emphasis on education. 88% of Asian Americans graduate from high school, compared to 86% for whites and just 69% for blacks. That means 31% of African Americans have little chance to succeed in the free marketplace because they're uneducated. They're high school dropouts. Asian Americans also tend to keep their families intact. Just 13% of Asian children live in single-parent homes, compared to a whopping 55% for blacks and 21% for whites. So there you go. That is why Asian Americans, who often have to overcome a language barrier, are succeeding far more than African Americans, and even more than white Americans. Their families are intact, and education is paramount. American children must learn not only academics, but also civil behavior, right from wrong, as well as how to speak properly and how to act respectfully in public. If African American children do not learn those things, they will likely fail as adults. They will be poor. They will be angry. And they often will be looking to blame someone else. One caveat, the Asian American experience historically has not been nearly as tough as the African American experience. Slavery is unique, and it has harmed black Americans to a degree that is still being felt today. But
there is no but. Is this guy fucking kidding? Really? The problem's education. No, maybe the problem is you destroyed a people's culture. You brought them here, enslaved them for 250 plus years, and then you tried to mentally enslave them for another 150 years, and then you call that shit fair. Then you create systems that economically destroy neighborhoods, poverty is an economic problem. You didn't give them anything, and then you expect everybody to pull themselves up by they bootstraps, but you ain't gave them no boots. Yeah, we get out here and we work and we go get these degrees, and we try to listen and go along with you, but guess what? Every time we get ahead, you change the rules. Don't tell me that bullshit about white privilege doesn't exist. I've seen it on multiple levels. Educational levels, I've seen it where a person owed 3 times more than me was told, well, you going back to class, Cindy. We'll take care of that. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be okay. Comes to me, look, nigga, we kicking you out. I don't care if you graduate in 6 weeks now. We don't give a damn. But you just sent Cindy back, and she's got 2 more years to go. Don't you worry about what we do with Cindy. On your jobs. We work jobs. We work hard, 2-3 times as hard. Sacrifice time with our families and do what we need to do so we can give our kids an opportunity. And then you still let somebody stroll in. Ain't even out of school yet. But then their career takes off and you've been sitting there. And then you glorify the nonsense. And then you say, well, why they have an attitude all of a sudden? Then you spread that. That's white privilege. That you're going to be taking at face value no matter what. That there's a place for you in this world no matter what. If you missed my last show last week, which was the white silence show, we were speaking about the same thing, about these type of behaviors that go on. And society basically dares you to call bullshit on them. Now this dude's in here talking about the age and experience. Ain't no age and experience compared to the black American experience. They got Chinatown. They don't fuck with America like that. I did a show once before when basically it said in the Asian community, the dollar stays in the Asian community 27 days before it even leaves that community. In the black community, it's 6 hours. The 6 hours because we don't own nothing in our community. It's 27 days because they own everything in their community. They educate their kids. They put the value systems. They still have their culture. And they know better than to fuck with you all. They go to school. They push for good paying jobs. It's a value system. And I think we can all learn from the value system of a good education. They're not put under the same microscope. The stereotypes about Asians is quite far different than the stereotypes about black people. So Bill O'Reilly can save that BS on what he's trying to put down here. I don't know who he's trying to convince. Maybe somebody that's not aware of the nonsense that goes on in America and how America just constantly wants to act like, oh, the black people aren't doing this, the black people aren't doing that. This bull crap. The black people are doing the same thing as the white people, but, you know, for some reason, we're not in charge of anything, so we only can have certain expectations. I done caught more hell since Obama been president than I had in my whole life. But he wants to act like, no, it's education, it's this. There's another guy, I was watching another video. I do a lot of video researching to put this type of stuff together, so hopefully it hits somebody's ears and you know, you take something from it. Here's a white guy. He was talking about some stuff. At this point, at least he was attempting to be honest about what was going on. Check it out.
So, you know, when slavery got outlawed, what did they do in the South? They started passing all kinds of laws that pretty much any black person could easily break, like you can't go on this street, or you can't look at these people, or you can't speak out this way, or, you know, anti-profanity laws, all kinds of things, so that, and the modern day version of these, by the way, is the war on drugs. This is, I mean, Nixon brought this forward too. It was just a new form of Jim Crow. And Reagan put it on steroids. If you look at the number of people arrested in the war on drugs, particularly people of color, it explodes after 1981. But the whole thing was arrest them and then put them in work camps. And most of your southern prisons throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries were work camps. Slave labor. And we're right back to slave labor. Right. And that's why in the late 1970s, they passed a law to outlaw redlining by banks, because banks were still doing it. And you know, we may no longer have de jure, you know, by at law racism, but de facto it's alive and well. Here's Monica Crowley on Fox suggesting that there's no institutional racism.
Are there individual racists in this
Of
country?
course.
Sadly, yes. Does institutional racism exist anymore? No, it does not.
It does, and it's called the Southern Strategy of the Republican Party. This is not to say that all Republicans are racist. Now, see, I think that we are at this moment where we are finally, and you know, thank God, we are finally beginning to look at and reconcile our own history. We are beginning the process of deprogramming ourselves, which arguably began in 1865 and came to a screeching halt in the 1870s when Rutherford B. Hayes said, okay, you make me president, I'll take the northern troops out of the South, and we will end Reconstruction. And it flipped immediately into Jim Crow, and we were an apartheid state from the 1870s right up until today, frankly. But by law...
Sound like somebody trying to be honest, tell the truth. Yeah, we got to get ourselves together, but the problem is we so integrated into this system now. It's hard to pull away because this is the system. This is the only way we know. We don't have no homeland to go back to and regather ourselves and rebuild our nation. We don't have that. That was taken away from us. Then the woman makes the comment, institutional racism doesn't exist, but there are some racist people out there that do exist. Well, those racist people are the ones that set off the bombs in our lives, and then you non-institutional racists sit around and you cover up for them. They call you the bullshitter lots. You start bullshitting, pretending, oh, it's not like that. I had an incident at work and they said, well, we're not going to call them racist. I said, you don't have to call them racist. I'm calling them racist. I know a brick thrower when I see one. But you talking to me when you know this guy's a racist. And they hate when you call him a racist. Well, you know, just don't deal with him. You know, let Bob take care of him because obviously you guys have a problem. We don't have a problem. He's got a problem with black people. How much clearer can I be to you people? See, and that's the point we got to get to. Is just bullshit on top of bullshit, and nobody calls it bullshit. It's wrong for you as a black person to call bullshit on some stuff. And even with your friends, you have to be able to say, sorry, Jim, that's some bullshit. You didn't work that hard. Maybe you're working hard now, but you didn't work hard to get in that position. That's your white privilege. And even if Jim doesn't want to accept it, you keep pushing it on Jim. No, Jim, that's your white privilege. You don't recognize it because it seems normal to you. But when it seems normal that you getting positions you know you ain't did shit, that's weird to me. I would be actually shocked and strange if I went to a place and all of a sudden people that's been working and doing work don't get promoted, but I get promoted. I would even question that. But they don't question that. That's being dishonest. So all types of stats and stuff that people can pull out, and they usually pull them out to make it negative. Like they say, black on black crime. It's no such thing. It's crime. White people commit more crime against white people. They commit more murders on white people. But they don't classify it as white on white crime. But for you and me, it's black on black crime. More white people are on welfare than black people are on welfare. We're only 13% of the population in this country. And they're almost 60% of the population in this country. So we can never have this honest discussion because we're constantly being fed this stuff. And a lot of us black people, that I got a lot of friends, and I know they think I be going over the edge with it. Well, look at our communities and all that. Yeah, that's our fault. It's not the place, it's the people. So if you can't get your home life in order, like I did the show about that, we need to get ourselves in order. We don't need to try to get this person to come in and tell us what to do, and this person come in and tell us what to do, because them the same fucks that put us in this position. Black people had a real good thing going for a few years. It wasn't good because, it was still doing Jim Crow, but the 50s, 60s, and 70s, a lot of us were trying to go to school, trying to build communities. Communities were built. And every time we tried to do something, somebody came in and destroyed it. You can look at the FBI COINTELPRO site and see all the documentation where they now are admitting to all the crap that they did. The wiretaps, the following of our leaders, the destruction of others to stop a black messiah from being raised from the mist. The putting drugs into the neighborhoods. So when we see this crime and stuff on the street, it's a direct connection to all this. And we need to try to find a way to fix it. And we're probably going to have to do it on different levels. Because no matter what the conversation is with these people, you can bet that they're looking for the angle for it to come out on their side. Teacher told me way back in '83, he said, Mr. Robinson, they in charge. Why would they give up power willingly? Why would they share power willingly? You can't write legislation for a man's heart. We got to be smart. Love, peace, soul. We out of here.